Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along. Which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ziprecruiter.com/zip. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them for you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ziprecruiter.com/zip. That's ziprecruiter.com/zip. ziprecruiter.com/zip.
Warning, the following ZipRecruiter radio spot you are about to hear is going to be filled with F words.
When you're hiring, we at ZipRecruiter know you can feel frustrated, forlorn even, like your efforts are futile, and you can spend a fortune trying to find fabulous people, only to get flooded with candidates who are just fine. Fortunately, ZipRecruiter figured out how to fix all that. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free at ziprecruiter.com/zip. With ZipRecruiter, you can forget your frustrations because we find the right people for your roles fast, which is our absolute favorite F word. In fact, 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day.
Fantastic!
So, whether you need to hire 4, 40, or 400 people, get ready to meet first-rate talent. Just go to ziprecruiter.com/zip to try ZipRecruiter for free. Don't forget, that's ziprecruiter.com/zip. Finally, that's ziprecruiter.com/zip.
Welcome back to Used to Sew, a podcast about sewing machines, sewing history, and sewing culture in the past and present. I am your producer and co-host Aradia, daughter of your main host, T.R. Kelly, who is here today to talk to you about Berninas, by request. Also, a follow-up on our newfound obsession with Bernadette Banner. This episode was inspired by a listener request to give more love to Berninas after our episode on Elnas. We love hearing from you. Keep it coming. We did have to rely more on Alex Askeroff than usual, because this is not Tiara's usual wheelhouse, but she does have some personal experiences to throw in for flavor. The Bernina is a sewing machine with a similar reputation as a featherweight, but for different and better reasons. Like the Elna, it is from Switzerland, but unlike Elna, it survived and even thrived in the era of competing with Japanese machines. How did they do it? Listen and find out. We also react to some fan mail, talk about cats in sewing rooms, and get an update on Bernadette Banner's book.
Hey folks, welcome back to Used to Sew. We're here, and it's sort of a partly cloudy day in Western Oregon, and I was just interrupted by my new cat because I must feed the cat before I can do actual work. You all know how that is. Informal poll. Cats in the sewing room, yes or no? You can let us know that. We'll have an episode about that. But right now, we're back, and today's episode is going to be brought to you by the letter B. We're going to talk a little tiny bit more about Bernadette Banner, and then we're going to segue over to talk about Bernina sewing machines. But first, Radia, tell us, what is the public saying?
Well, as it so happens, we have 2 new Patreons to thank.
Woo!
2.
All right.
So thank you very much to Hills, with a Z, mind you, Hills.
Ooh, Hills. I like Z.
So thank you very much. And also thank you to Lynette. We really appreciate you.
Hills and Lynette, with appreciate you. I don't have my ukulele today, but you can imagine it. Plink, plink, plink. Wow, thank you guys.
And also, we have a little bit of mail.
Oh, hate mail? Is it hate mail?
No. Though I must apologize. We have not actually responded to this email for a month because we're bad about checking our mail. But Annie has written us back about Davis vertical feed stuff.
Ooh.
We're actually having a back and forth exchange if we ever bother to respond. But we are being bad about checking our email. So,
I need to get on that. I still haven't figured out how to log in.
we also got an email that I initially thought was spam and that Gmail thought was spam, but I think might just be kind of more professional than we're used to hearing.
Oh.
We got an email from this person who has a website called Lindy Lindy, which is a hand-sewn vintage fabric company in Spain that puts together slow fashion, essentially.
Yeah.
And kind of, I think, wants to do an episode with us and talk about slow fashion and things. It's a very slick and commercial sounding email, but also it seems like it's real. Apparently this person is listening to us and thinking we're cool and wants to do some cross-pollination. It seems a little too polished to be real, but I did a little due diligence before the episode today, and it doesn't seem entirely AI generated, so I don't know.
Well, let's give it a go. Let's see. Yeah, I mean, that would be cool. Having this is great. People are like, wow.
It's just so out of scale with where we're at, I'm just like,
I just feel like one of the big kids noticed us,
Exactly. I'm like, we have an audience of dozens, and you're claiming an audience of 100,000. Is this happening right now? So if you are listening to this episode right now, Christine, and you're laughing at our confusion, there you go. Confusion. It's funny.
It's like we're a little small town guitar player and some big touring act just rolls into town and says, "Hey, kid, you're pretty good." It's like, what? Is this a scam?
Right? Yeah. So anyway, it
sounds
was
great.
Just neat to be noticed by someone who is in the let's do slow fashion because reasons.
Oh, absolutely.
The reasoning articulated on the website was all very up our alley with respect to that. So I was like, maybe this is actually happening.
Yeah, that's our third pillar is against fast fashion, and that means towards slow fashion.
And then, the last piece of mail was our new Patreon. I think it was Hills. Hills commented on the Elna episode that they loved the Elna episode, but would love some more love for the Bernina. So
yes,
that transitions us into our first topic
into
for today, or maybe our
today's
second topic. I don't know if you want to do which order you want to do the the topics in.
My cat is. Come on, what do you want? You want to come up here? Come here. All right. Yeah, Bernina, the big Swiss sewing machine. But yeah, that's cool. Folks are listening. Let's go ahead and start with Bernina, and then we'll go back to Bernadette and do a recap of more Bernadette stuff. Bernina is, as we know now, it's made in Switzerland. That's about all I knew about it for the longest time, other than that it had a cult following like the featherweight. If you had a Bernina, that was a thing. It always had a capital B. Bernina. And you said it like, Bernina.
Yeah, it's a girl's name. It's a fancy girl's name.
Well, actually, I found out where did it come from. It's named for the highest mountain in the Swiss Alps.
Oh.
It's named for a mountain.
Oh, that's even better.
Yeah. So before I go into the real history of Bernina, it's like, here's me in the sewing machine business in the USA. It's singer-centric. Da-da-da-da-da-da. Somebody brought a Bernina machine in to my repair shop, and I looked at it, and I had no idea. Like, uh-oh. This is one of those European machines. So I called my friend Gene up at the my competition. I said, Gene, you're a Bernina dealer, right? Oh, yeah. I said, I'm going to send you a customer. I just like, no thanks. Bernina, you don't buy them at Walmart. You don't buy them online. You go to a Bernina dealer. And you don't buy a sewing machine. You buy a relationship. Because it's like a fine European sports car. You don't buy a Jaguar and then take it down to your local gas station monkey junkie and say change the oil. You take it back to the dealership. So Bernina has this reputation as being all that. And is it earned? Yes. Yes. My first experience with a Bernina at all, community college sewing. I'd just gotten off the road touring with a country band, moved to Eugene, Oregon, was living with my dad. What am I going to do with myself? Hey, I'm going to go to community college and get a degree in radio broadcasting. Yeah, baby. And, of course, to get a degree, you've got to take some electives. So I'm looking through all the electives, and I see sewing. And I'm like, oh, awesome. I'll take that. So I show up, and there's 3 kind of machines, and the teacher's really cool, and she's just really inspirational. And she says, all right, class, here's the machines we're going to be using. And she gets them out of the closet. And there were all these bright red carrying cases. Of course, I like red. I want one of the red ones. I got no idea. It's a Bernina, and I think the number is 930. I should have done more homework, but it had the instructions and all this in that sort of weird stilted way of translating that European. Every time I read a European instruction manual, it's always telling you to do things. Do this. Oh, okay. Yeah, hold on. Come on, you know. And this machine was so quiet and so awesome to sew on, and I finished my 2 projects and got an A, and that was the last I knew about Bernina. Well, then I joined another band, jazz band. The keyboard player had a Bernina because she lived right next door to the Bernina dealer, who was Gene, who was the guy I called about. So I got to sew on her Bernina a little bit. I cannot remember the number of it. I could know what it looked like, but she just loved it. It was like her child. Okay, now this is before I even ever heard about featherweights. I thought, wow, this is a sewing machine cult. These people are really into these sewing machines. Well, and then I went to work for Singer and I found out about all that. Then I went to visit my mom in Nevada, and all her friends are like, oh, Tracy's a sewing machine mechanic. Could she come over and look at my Bernina? This is a tiny rural town in eastern Nevada with population 50, and all these women have Berninas. What's with that? What is with
Seriously?
that? And they had this really specific one. I'm trying to find the picture here. 600 series. There were these weird the record, weird light green machines. Now, I don't know if this is still true or if it was true or whatever. So I asked my mom, why do all these people have Bernina machines? She asked one of them, and they said, because the church told them that was the brand to buy.
Okay.
Can you guess which church on the Utah-Nevada border?
Mormons?
Yeah.
I mean, it's the only church in town, right?
Apparently, at the time, early 80s, I don't know if this is still true, they owned a lot of Bernina stock or had some business attachment to Bernina.
Okay. Shrewd business people that they are. So
all these LDS women had Berninas. And here I am going, I'm a singer-fixer. I don't even say mechanic. I'm a singer-fixer. You know, I will look at your machine and do all the basic tension and oiling and just check it out, but there will be no screwdrivers. If you got something broken, you're going to have to come see my friend Gene up in Eugene, Oregon.
Right, yeah.
Terrified by them. But I did get a chance to open them up and look inside, and my gosh, the machining, the quality, the metal, the clearances. It truly is a fine European motor car, and every bit as deserving of its reputation. Now, here's the part that fascinates me. As you can tell, I don't know doodly squat about Berninas. It's not ever been my focus, but if somebody writes in and wants to know stuff, I'm going to apply myself. Alex Askeroff. Okay, I'm going to tell you, Alex, we've talked about Alex Askeroff before. He's in the UK. He is Mr. Sewing Machine. He has so much information on his website, which we will put in the show notes. I'm trying to find the thing that he was talking about here, which is how Bernina evaded what happened to all the other manufacturers in the mid-century, which was they lost manufacturing shares to low-priced Japanese machines, imported machines took over by the end of the 60s, okay, everybody was trying to undercut and compete with the Japanese machines. Okay, here's what I'm looking for. Okay, so this is on Alex's website, but he's quoting a fellow named Keith Halgren. In 1954, Bernina introduced the Record series with the 530. Now, they're awesome machines. Okay, the whole Record series. Prior to this, their sales were respectable but small. Singer made more machines in a day than Bernina made in a year. Singer still held 95% of the global market, although European companies were starting to put a small dent in Singer. Elna, remember from last week, Elna had released the Supermatic in 1951 and was seeing some massive success in the North American market. Now, this is the amazing bit. By 1963, Bernina would sell 2 million machines. It is believed that the model 530 Record, was most responsible for their entry into the global market. The increased sales led to the establishment of their own dealer networks in North America. The success of the 530 was such that Singer even approached Bernina. They wanted to strike a deal whereby they could distribute Bernina machines through their vast network of Singer stores.
Wow.
Bernina declined, and for a time opted to share North American distribution with Necchi. Remember Necchi, the Italian machine, right?
They're like, we don't need your American bullshit. We can be European in North America just fine.
The Bernina 530 Record sewing machine was compact, but a wee bit heavy, featured 12 built-in stitches, a powerful motor, and a drop feed. It introduced Bernina's proprietary clip-on foot system. This is, if you go to buy Bernina feet, they're expensive. They are very expensive. They only fit Bernina machines. It's a proprietary thing, like Singer and their slant shank system. Bernina's feet are also very unique to that machine. More than any machine since Bernina's first hem stitchers. That's what they invented first, was a hem stitch machine. That's his history.
Oh, okay.
Okay, more than any machine since its first hem stitchers, the Bernina 530 Record set new standards and turned the small Swiss specialists into a global network. Also, this is the point where many European sewing machine manufacturers made their biggest mistake, leading to countless thousands of skilled technicians losing their livelihoods. Can we have scary music? By the 1960s, cheap imported machines were flooding into Europe and America. Firstly, the Japanese dominated, but they were soon caught up by Chinese sewing machine makers. What nearly every European sewing machine manufacturer tried to do was compete with these imports. Of course, that was impossible. The Far East could make sewing machines for a fraction of the price of any European maker, simply because the cost of living and doing business was much lower. Everything was cheaper in the Far East, from food to housing. The result for the great sewing machine companies of old was catastrophic. Now, this doesn't just mean the European ones. I mean, this is where we saw Singer start to crash, too. Everybody.
Right.
So, one by one, the big makers cut their quality, their workforce, and their output. However, Bernina took a different tack. They kept their quality high and priced their machines accordingly. This was a turning point for the company. As they expanded, other European makers downsized. Bernina machines became the most expensive sewing machines on the market, and business boomed. Now that's a lesson in marketing.
Wow, because people were still going to buy a fancy sewing machine. That was still a section of the market that existed, and everyone else was leaving, so they just won the fancy machine niche by default.
Yeah, not just fancy.
Wow.
Well made.
Right, yeah.
We are not going to cut our quality to try to compete with those guys. There's no way that can happen. So we're going to do what we do even bigger. We're going to make our machine the best, and we're going to charge that kind of money for it. And you know what? It worked.
Well, because, they don't have to sell infinity machines, right? They have to sell a certain fixed number, and if that... Well, not fixed number, but a certain number. And if that number is within the number of people who would buy it, then it's fine if you can't make more, right? Because that's the thing, is all these other companies are trying to make more. Bernina's trying to make enough to match the demand of people who can afford their machines. It's a very different approach.
Right. Yeah. Quality over quantity, which is like, I'm really respecting this. I did not know this. This is really cool. By giving customers outstanding machines with outstanding performance, Bernina managed to expand whilst almost every other European sewing machine manufacturer was collapsing. And then he goes on, Alex says, sometime back, I wrote a short book called The Rise and Fall of Singer Manufacturing in Britain. He's written a lot of neat little historical pamphlet-type books.
Oh, cute. That's awesome.
And this book goes into detail about how Singer rose to become the largest sewing machine company in the world and collapsed just as spectacularly. Kilbowie in Scotland became a wasteland for a generation, but that's another story. So, yeah, Alex is just massive source of information. By the mid-1950s, Bernina introduced the stunning Bernina 600 sewing machine. Drop feed, free arm, with an external motor. They once again had produced a winner of outstanding quality. By enclosing the zigzag arm within a cam and bracket fork, there could be no extra movement of the needle. This meant the machine produced a near-perfect zigzag through all work, very different to many modern machines where the needle bar is loose and floppy. Oh, I've seen that. By 1960, Bernina were proudly boasting they were the number 1 free arm sewing machine producer on the planet. Who was their competition there? Elna, for sure. The the 2 Swiss people. We have a free arm. Well, so do we. They were now the market leaders. All this high quality came at a high price. They were the most expensive machines available. And he's got a British, how much they cost. I cannot translate pounds into mine. They cost a lot. They're expensive.
Sure, a lot. That's a good amount.
And then he goes on about how you can date them, and then a whole lot of pictures of these really awesome two-tone 600 series. Oh, there's my red cased one, the Bernina Mini-Matic. Yeah, okay. So now they're talking about they made a few commercial machines. Not necessarily industrial, but commercial. Remember the distinction? Commercial goes in a tailor shop or a dressmaker, somebody who sews all day, but it's not sewing the same thing over and over and over.
Right.
Alex Askeroff has a massive page with lots of pictures, and I'm sure there's more. Because, like I said, Bernina's got, I don't even want to say a cult following. It's got a well-earned, I mean, I would definitely call featherweights a cult because it's not the best sewing machine ever made. It's not,
a little more irrational and just for the sake of itself.
Very emotional and cute and stuff. But comparing a featherweight to a Bernina record would be like, well, let's compare a Volkswagen to a Mercedes. I mean, a Volkswagen Bug to like a Mercedes nice sedan, you know. It's like, okay, they're both going to get you there. But this little tiny cute one, okay, it's really tiny and cute. But, you know, I freaking hate Volkswagen Bugs. I won't ride in those things. They're little death traps. But I will sew on a featherweight. It's not a death trap. I can throw it out the window if it catches fire.
No, that's an interesting distinction, though, the difference between being emotionally invested in something for its aesthetic versus just like, no, objectively, it is the highest quality of its class, and there's no ifs, ands, or buts to follow that up with.
Now, you know, on this podcast, we focus on pre-1970 vintage machines, but Bernina is still going strong. They're still made in Switzerland. They have a low price line that's made in the East, but it's at their factory. They're not just buying somebody else's machine and badging it. They have sergers, they have embroidery machines, they have all the stuff. But if you want a Bernina, you don't buy the machine, you buy the dealership, period. If you don't get along with the dealership, find a different one. If you want a Bernina, you got to search for a shop that you like, because like I said, you're not going to change the oil on your Jaguar yourself. You're going to go take it to the dealership and have them do it. And with older machines, sure, you can figure that out yourself. Personally, I don't know anybody that works on Berninas. I mean, Jean died.
I actually met someone who works on Berninas last year.
Up in Portland?
At a wedding. Yeah, at a wedding up in Portland. One of the people that I met there was like, you know, we get introduced. It's like, hey, you both know about sewing machines. You'll have something to talk about. This person works in a repair shop for Bernina.
Yes.
Like just that we did not have very much in common to actually talk about, because I know about, farting around with whatever machine.
Right.
And this was like I deal with modern Berninas for like normal money at like, it's like a real job. And it's just like, oh, wow, we can talk about a little bit of sewing machines together, but we're actually in very different worlds.
Yeah, that Portland dealership is well known for being quality.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good
I met
one.
someone who works there. They were very cool.
Yeah, and they're, the new Berninas is like, I mean, I thought my old Singer 6268 was a space shuttle. Oh my gosh. One of these days we have to go in and get a demo on top of the line stuff, because you got to be computer programmer and also be able to thread a bobbin case all at once. I'm just so out of my element there, and I'm not really inclined to learn. I know you kind of were looking at an embroidery machine, and if you got one, I would probably like check it out and stuff, but I just want to get my old Davis treadle running again so I can fix Paul's overhauls.
Yeah, when are you bringing me my Davis anyway?
Well, the cat intervened there, and then let's see, tomorrow is lawyer, Friday is mammogram. I've got so much fun things in my schedule right now.
At some point.
I would love to bring you that sewing machine, but you know what? After this weekend, my schedule's opening up, and I want to come out, and we want to sew, and we want to build this machine and record more episodes and do all the fun things and sew outside. I set my 301 up outside yesterday, and it was so nice to sew outside with my little power brick thing. I sewed all afternoon and only used up 10% of my capacity in that thing.
Nice.
It was cool.
Nice.
Well, you're not just sewing.
Right,
You sew,
yeah.
and then you press, and then you fiddle around and pin things, and yeah. Second part of the episode today, we're going to go from Bernina to Bernadette. We're going to go back to Bernadette Banner for a minute because I bought her book.
Yay! We have a book in the podcast family.
Yes, we have a book here. Oh my God, this book. Now, you're going to have to take my word for it. If you were around in the 80s when Singer put out that wonderful set of chapter books that were full of great pictures, each one was about sewing activewear, sewing for children, sewing for the home, serging. And these books, you would join a club and you get one every month. And they were so pretty to look at. And this book really reminds me of that, in that there are exquisite, detailed, up-close pictures of everything. Not too much words. I mean, I want to sit down and work through this like a workbook. It just looks so enticing. I want to try it. It's fun.
Oh.
She starts with the tools and then the techniques. But first of all, the why. Why are we doing this? Because she's all about like what we are. Let's eliminate fast fashion. Let's make clothes that fit us internally and externally. Say what we want to say, make us look cool. So, and of course, right along with our main directive of not buying new, I bought the book used.
Oh, very nice. Very nice.
It doesn't look used at all. Okay. And it doesn't have the nasty plastic shrink wrap on, which is a good thing. But here's the whole thing about how to hand sew a buttonhole. Now, I know how to do that, but seeing it done here with really up close, awesome color pictures, I can't wait. I haven't actually read all the way through. I've just looked at the pictures and skimmed. But this is, I mean, if you're really wanting to get into what we're talking about, get this book. Just do it. Just do it. This is so, it should be your textbook for, it was a great textbook for refashion, remake, repair, rethink, So more on that as I work through it. But I'm just going to say after we did the podcast about her, I just had to get the book. And then I'm like, oh my God, this woman is amazing. I'm gushing.
That's very, very cool. Yeah, I have the Singer Sewing Activewear book.
Yes, you do. You have that one.
I do have that in my library, and I would actually love to try to collect all 6 or however many there are.
There's about 15, I think, and I see them at the thrift stores a lot.
That would be a cool rolling quest to take to the thrift store, try to collect the entire set of them. That would be cool.
Those are such beautiful, inspirational books.
because they are handy. It is nice to be able to look at it in the most like color pictures. Because like the thing with like grayscale line drawing style instructions is they are not as good as color photography for explaining what you're trying to do. I have a very hard time holding the visual instructions in my head between the page and the project I'm working on. So a better picture helps a lot. So yeah, I'm going to buy her book, and then yeah, you and I should get the list of those other books and then check them off as we go.
Oh yeah, I wasn't selling those in the store. They were a mail order thing only, but they were when I was working in the store. And it's funny because all the machines and things that they show in there are the ones that were current to 1986, I think is when they started issuing these. But I had the whole set. And of course, in one of my many moves, they went somewhere. But yeah, getting the whole set again would be great.
Yeah, assembling a secondhand set would be a worthy quest, because now I'm getting my rhythm of going to the thrift store and looking for a couple of things just every time I go to the thrift store. Like I had time to kill the other day. I had like an hour I needed to just kill. So I was like, I'll just go to St. Vinny's and just walk around and check all the sewing machines, see what, they were all trash. They were all bad. But nonetheless, I did my circuit and found all the sewing machines and evaluated them.
Good.
Checked for some fabric projects that I needed, and then checked the puzzle section. Like I've got my spots now for stuff I know I need to go check out. And I found a 2,000-piece puzzle, which was very good because I'm ruined for 1,000-piece puzzles now. I only want to do 2,000s at this point. So now I'm going to know to go over to the book section and try to find the craft books and look for those Singer teaching books. I do see them.
Yep.
I have a new list, a new item for my list for thrifting now, which is good.
Well, I think I should try to make it out there next week, and maybe we could go hit the Florence St. Vin's again.
Yeah, that could be nice, though.
Yeah, it's summertime, folks.
Look, summer has arrived. We had that heat wave over the weekend, and now suddenly the schedule is packed because it's summer.
Yes.
Even though technically summer doesn't start for 2 weeks. It is started in terms of life experience right now. But yeah, we will make that happen next week or the week after. We'll figure it out.
Yeah. Because we have to build your Davis machine, and we have to go find these books, and we need more fabric, and we need more brown bias tape because I used it all up.
I actually have some costuming needs that I need to figure out before July. So
we have lots of things to sew.
We're going to have projects to report on to the podcast audience. We'll actually have like updates on projects rather than aspirations, in theory, aspirationally.
Absolutely. I mean, life happens. We know that. Like, oh my gosh, I have to have this thing sewn by this day. And what do you mean there's a cat? So, yeah, that's our brought to you by the letter B, small little episode for today. What do we have from this? Buy Bernadette's book. And if you see an old Bernina in a thrift store, you should buy it. Although I have never, ever, ever seen a Bernina in a thrift store. Not once. Maybe I'm going to the wrong thrift stores. That's the kind of thing you might find in an estate sale. Right? Where someone has passed on. Or really, if you want to try out a Bernina, find your local dealer and see if they have any trade-ins. Because people do trade up, even on a nice machine like that. But they're the ones I really super like are the weird two-tone green ones. I mean, they're pretty cool. Like I said, I have all of probably 7 weeks experience with them, but I was impressed.
Very cool.
All right, folks. Continue to write to us, and we're going to get better at that as we realize that we're not just talking to our friends out. I mean, you're all our friends, but, we started this podcast and there was like maybe 6 people listening to it. Now there's dozens. And that means we have to keep track of things. And we really do appreciate you joining us on Patreon. If you join at the $1 tier, then after 5 months, you will get a sticker in the mail. And it's a really cool sticker. I have mine on my sewing machine toolbox, which is really fun. And I'm thinking I want to get some T-shirts going. And then we'll give you all a chance to buy those Used to Sew T-shirts and start up a conversation at your local quilt shop where you're threaded and your tension's balanced and all your colors are harmonious and you can't wait to get home and sew. Thanks for joining us, folks. Stay tuned, and we'll catch you next week.
And there you have it. A deep dive into the Bernina Sewing Machine Company by listener request. Sourced mostly from Alex Askeroff's website. We heard about TR's brief encounters over the years, considered how they threaded the needle of staying competitive during the rise of the Japanese sewing machine market, and compared the cult of featherweights to the passion of the Bernina fan base. I'm always a fan of the history deep dives, and this one was no different. I especially appreciated digging a little bit into the why of how European and American machine companies were outcompeted by their Japanese counterparts. It is one thing to say better quality for less money, but that simplifies and blurs so much of the nuance in the reasons that change across decades. The reasons that iPhones are made in China now are not identical to the reasons that Elna was made in Japan in the mid-century. Very closely related, but not identical, because of decades of accumulated changes between those 2 points on the timeline. We also got excited about TR's purchase and first glance at Bernadette Banner's book about sewing. I think I'll have to get it soon also. Physical media is a good thing to have, especially with timeless information like this. And speaking of physical media, we even teased the idea of t-shirts for the podcast. I'm going to need to look into that because, of course, if we do something like that, we're going to need to make sure it is as ethical and environmentally conscious of a product as possible, and also very comfortable because why have clothes if they aren't comfy? Remember to tell us how you feel about cats in sewing rooms, and also remember that we are unofficially sponsored by Stagecoach Road Vintage Sewing Machine, who do repairs and restorations. You can follow us on Facebook and Instagram, and you can support us by sharing the podcast with your friends and also with money at patreon.com/used2sew. Thank you for listening to us here at Used to Sew. We always welcome your additions, corrections, and feedback in general. Please reach out to us via email at used2sew@gmail.com. Used to Sew is a production of Fox and Raven Media. For more podcasts from Fox and Raven Media, visit our website at foxandravenmedia.com.